Have you ever done something small, but strangely familiar? A fan slows down, you open it up. A loose outlet, you grab a screwdriver. Your bike breaks down mid-road, you crouch and check. No one taught you, no tutorial, no guide, just one simple thought. Let me try. And somehow, you believe you'll figure it out, even if you've never done it before. But then you look around. Same situation, someone else does the opposite. They don't touch it. They grab their phone. They call a technician. Or worse, they just buy a new one. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. Because they think you're outdated. And you think they're helpless. Sounds like a small difference, but it's not. These are two types of people, built from two different worlds. And the real question is, why are you the one who always says, "Let me try"? Picture it again, a very familiar scene. Your bike dies in the middle of the road. You step down, pop the hood, stare inside like you're reading an old map. You don't know exactly what's wrong, but you still check everything. Wires, spark plug, fuel. You try and try again. Meanwhile, someone next to you says, "Just call for help, it's faster." That sentence sounds normal, but for some reason, it bothers you. Because in your head, there's another thought. It's not completely broken. Why give up already? Here's the interesting part. Most people see this and misunderstand it. They think it's about skill. If you know how, you fix it. If you don't, you call someone. But no. This isn't about skill. This is about how you're wired to face problems. One moves closer, one steps away. And the crazy part is, both think they're being logical. So the real question is, why do you always try to fix things first? Why do others replace things instantly? And more importantly, who actually understands how to live? There's something many young people have never experienced. You had no backup plan, no plan B, no buy again button. If something broke, it was gone from your life. A broken fan meant a hot night. A broken bike meant you couldn't go anywhere. A broken TV meant silence all evening. And money couldn't fix it right away. Back then, there was no one-click order, no same-day delivery. Nothing came to rescue you instantly. So you learned something early. No one taught you, but you understood. If it breaks, you have to do something. You take it apart, you look, you try. Not because you're skilled, but because you had no other choice. And this is when your brain forms a rule. Simple, but powerful. Problems must be handled, not avoided. Every time you fix something, even something small, your brain records it. I can handle things. That feeling is different. Not excitement, not entertainment. It's a quiet confidence, the kind you don't need to say out loud. And over time, it becomes a reflex. When there's a problem, you move toward it. Not because you love difficulty, but because in your mind, that's the only way to live. And if you're watching this, you might realize something. You don't hate fixing things. You hate feeling powerless. And that's why you're always the one who says, "Let me try." There's something deeper than just knowing how to fix. It's this. You never thought you needed someone else. When you were young, no one asked if you wanted to do it. There was only one familiar line. Handle it yourself. You went to school alone, fixed your own bike, solved your own problems. And slowly, that stopped being something you do. It became who you are. You don't call it a skill. You call it normal. Fixing a fan isn't about saving money. It's about feeling in control of your life. You turn a screw, reconnect a wire, and in that moment, everything falls back into place. There's a clear feeling. I'm still in control. That's hard to explain because it's not about the fan. It's about you. Now look at the new generation. They're not weak. They're not lazy. They just grew up in a different system. A system where everything is ready. You need something fixed? Someone does it. You need to learn something? There's a video. You have a problem? There's a service. They don't need to know how. They just need to know who. And their brain learns a different rule. Problems can be transferred. No need to carry them. No need to hold them. Just find the right person. Sounds logical, even efficient. But here's the twist. When they don't do it themselves, they don't feel control. They get results, but not ownership. And over time, their brain gets used to depending. Not because they're weak, but because they never had to be strong that way. And you're not used to letting others handle things. Not because you don't trust them, but because you're not used to letting go of control. That's why, even when help is there, you still say, "Let me try first." People think the new generation is just too lazy to fix things, but the truth is, they're optimizing. They follow a clear rule. Don't waste time on things replaceable.
If fixing takes 2 hours, buying new takes 10 minutes. Easy decision.
And in today's world, that makes perfect sense. Time is more valuable than effort. Speed matters more than process. But here's where things shift. When you get used to replacing, you lose the habit of fixing. Not just objects, but problems. A relationship has issues. Instead of understanding, they leave. A job feels uncomfortable. Instead of adapting, they switch. An emotion feels heavy. Instead of facing it, they avoid it. Sound familiar? This is no longer about a fan or a bike. This is how the brain starts seeing everything. If it's too hard, quit. Not because they're weak, but because no one taught them. Some things only get better when you stay and fix them. And here's the surprising part. Convenience doesn't just make life easier. It lowers your tolerance for imperfection. You don't just lose repair skills, you lose patience. And that's when replace becomes a reflex, even when it's not necessary. If you look back at everything, you'll see something clearly. This was never just about fixing things. This is how you were built. You grew up in a world that didn't wait for you, so you learned to act before panic. You don't quit early, not because you're stubborn, but because quitting was never your default. You don't need immediate rescue, not because you don't need people, but because you're used to standing first. And this is the most important part. What others call outdated is actually resilience they never had to learn. What they call hard to change is stability they never built. You don't just fix objects. You're used to fixing harder things, situations, problems, life. You don't walk away when things break. You stay. You look. You figure it out. And if you see yourself in this, maybe you were never outdated. You just carry a kind of strength the modern world no longer teaches. And this matters most. This isn't about who's right or wrong. The new generation isn't weak. They just grew up in a different world, faster, easier, but also more fragile. And you? You come from a slower world, harder, but it made you stronger. One side knows how to optimize everything. One side knows how to fix everything. And maybe the future doesn't belong to either one. It belongs to those who know when to keep and when to replace. So the question is, can you still hold on to your ability to fix in a world where everything is replaceable? If you see yourself in this video, subscribe.